2 hands. Right, so hello, by the way, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. My first of 30 is the Paracord Laplander. Now, a lot of people prefer the silky saw. I've replaced this blade, that's why it's brand new, and I've got a spare as well. But the amount of wood that the old blade had cut through was just phenomenal. You really do get your money's worth. I mean, you can get pruning saw. This isn't a pruning saw, you know. Anyone that calls this a pruning saw has never really used these out in the field. It's that simple. They're outstanding. It goes through stuff like butter. But one of my most recent purchases is, in my opinion, is even better than this. But that's going to be one of the other items in one of the other videos. So that's my Laplander. I've got a little list. Let me just let her in. This one's from Shroom. I call him Shroom because he's just like a little mushroom. There's no name. So I don't know if it's a he, a she, I don't know, but it's definitely, I think it's a he, because I think he's a fun guy. And he asked sewage, but I've got a chest infection, so just bear with me, guys. Sewage backwash. Now, I have thought about that, and I've thought about getting a fair amount of pre-mixed cement and pouring it down my toilet, pouring it down my drain, just so that it moves on and becomes someone else's problem. But I genuinely don't think that there is a real answer to that. I think it's going to be a massive problem. Obviously, the further downhill, you know, the lower you are to sea level, the more of a problem you're going to have. Unless there's some kind of backup door opening system at these sewage works where they can just, you know, it gets to a certain weight, it senses it. I don't know. I've not got an answer for that, but I just thought that I'd bring that up just to say that I have thought about that. This is number 2 of 30. So even though it's a little bit of a kit, I'm still counting it as one. This blade, I mean, it's been sharpened and sharpened and sharpened. It's been used so much, but it's not touched the Jack Pike camo on there, and it is razor sharp. I could have a shave with that, absolutely no problem. And because it's got a quite decent flat head, it's easy to butt as well, because when it locks in good. And I mean, this has been battered, but with a baton to split wood, and it's still going. Yeah, and it wasn't that expensive. I don't remember how much it was, about 15 quid, something like that. But also in here, I've got some tinder, a decent fire steel that I use the back of the knife or the front of the knife to get a spark going. But in here is what I call fire powder. So all that is really is just powdered down ferrous rod. But it's already, you just tip a little tiny bit. I've only used it once because the wood was so damp. I had to split into the wood to get to the dry bit in the middle. But yeah, it is handy stuff to have, and it's not that expensive. So I keep that in this little capsule here to keep it dry, make sure it doesn't spill out. Someone asked, who was it? Dopey Dodo, love that name. Are these any good? Are they worth buying? Absolutely. I mean, these we've been on walks where people have where we've been. There are things called cloughs, and they're the kind of the bits in between the hills, the crevices, if you like. And you get some people that go up there and just like walking trainers, you know, hiking trainers, and it's just not. You need proper ankle support. If you've not got ankle support, you're going to risk a sprain or a break, which is what happened. So I mean, there was a helicopter came down. I had hair before that experience. Yeah, blew it all off. But yeah, she was in a mess, and I've carried these for years. Not these like poshish ones, just the blankets, just the not the sleeping bags, the blankets. I'll go further into the sleeping bag thing. But we wrapped blankets around this lady who, it was a break. It was definitely a break. If you were there, you would have got it. And it can help to prevent shock by reflecting that heat back into the body. Plus a smiling face and a little bit of banter always helps, you know. As a standalone sleeping bag, they're not very stealthy because you sound like you're sleeping in a crisp packet, but they do work. But you've got to be, because they're still quite thin, you've got to be wearing your boots, and you stand a chance of piercing the bottom of these with your boots, unless you brought extra pair of socks. But even then, you've got to remember, I mean, it says that they reflect about 90% of your heat back into your body. I completely disagree with that, but I do think they're definitely worth buying. You know, as the cost versus benefit ratio, definitely get a couple of these in. We've got 2 camo ones. The next one's up from these, a bit more robust, in the car. Human powered transport, that was from Dopey Dodo. Yeah, you can't beat legs. You just can't. They go exactly, you've been training them all your life. They know exactly what to do. They know how fast to go. You know, they know how much they can cope with. They'll let you know. Legs. Second to that, a bike. You know, you don't need to put any petrol in it. It's going to take a significant amount of weight off your body as you're leaning forward, and you've got a rucksack that's just rammed full of stuff because you're one of these people that thinks you need, 50 times. It's better to have it and need it than to not have it and need it, So I think everyone can remember this little gadget. I'm counting this as one item because it is an amazing little stove. They're absolutely fantastic, and this has had some use, this. What you saw in one of my previous videos, the video on how to keep warm, how powerful this is, and what it just packs away to. It's nothing, and it's light as a feather. It's all aluminium. This is just a ferrous rod. I keep a ferrous rod just in case of wet matches. You just don't know. And if you're even though it's got an automatic like electric starter on it, if that fails on you, you've got to get that gas lit. I'm going to be talking about some more serious suggestions that people put forward to me, like a stealth fire in a flat. Is it possible? Absolutely, it is. Yeah. Well, that's for the next video. Next one is a monocular camo. Just. The great thing is that if you look through this end, stuff on the other side becomes much bigger. So so as you're going into a field, you are quite exposed. You know, you want to sort of have a good look around. They're just really, really, really good things for just keeping an eye on, you know, just the bottom of your street. You can see, you know, you get the idea. If you really think about a monocular and all of the things that it's going to be useful for, I don't think I need to explain anymore. And they're very inexpensive. You can pick these up for, you know, get a really nice one for a tenner. This is quite a predictable one. I mean, I can charge my phone up twice on this one from flat. And I've got an old S9, which is quite new to some people. So that takes a lot. That does take a lot more power. But this does take on a decent amount of charge, because most of them can't. You need full sunshine for a full day, maybe 2 days to fully charge one of these normally. Well, this can be charged. It still needs sunshine as opposed to cloudy weather. But the torch on the back is very, very powerful. So I think that's a very, very important bit of kit, and it doesn't weigh that much, but it is powerful enough to charge my phone twice. What else did we have? How long could you stretch out a meal, a one pot meal? Now, I wasn't quite sure what you meant by that, and that's by Shroom again. That's my pet name for the mushroom, because yeah. Look, it depends on what time of the year. I mean, if it's the middle of summer and you've cooked something, a dish with meat in it and stuff like that, obviously you've got to be very, very careful. But then you can take roadkill, boil it for 45 minutes, you know, and something that stank, you know, from 50 yards away. You could take that home, cook it for 45 minutes, and that would be perfectly okay to eat. So bear that in mind. It's all about the cooking. It's all about the heat. During the winter, you just what you haven't cooked, you take what you need out to cook, and leave the rest of the pot alone, and then keep that outside, away from critters, foxes, stuff like that, and it will just keep and keep and keep, because it's outside. It's just a fridge this time of year. My next one, which I think is number 6, is the Garmin Oregon 450. So I mean, I've got maps on here. I paid for maps for every single national park in the UK. So I mean, it's indoors. I've only just turned it on, so it's not got a satellite signal in here. So as far as it's concerned, it's you know, it's where we were last, which was in the Peak District. But you can pin in there, and you can put an SOS, so you can literally, no matter what you do, if you keep going and you're lost, you're getting more and more lost, you can go back to the point where you last stood and press that button. But we don't get lost. You can't get lost with this, you know, unless you get CME'd or EMP'd. But that's it. I mean, I've dropped this in very, very deep puddles. It's been in mud. I've left it outside of the bench outside the caravan, where it's had about 1 millimetre of frost all over it, and they're just bulletproof. So this is a great piece of kit. Brilliant, I'm telling you. And it's good out to sea as well, because it can show your last location out to sea. So yeah, as long as we've got satellites, this is good to go. I think I've covered 5 points. No, I haven't. I've got one more. a multi-tool. Everyone should have a multi-tool. I mean, it's a little bit heavy, but it's done everything I've asked it to do. I mean, you've got that gap there, and I am strong, and I've given it some to try and see if I can warp it, and nothing's ever happened to it. And it's got plenty on there. Everyone should have a multi-tool, because you never know. Now, Shroom was curious about stages of grief. Now that's a tough one. That's a tough one. Let me hold my beer. Because there's 3 stages. You've got pre, which is where you obviously you know that someone you really care about is going to go. And that can be a good thing. And you know what I mean? It kind of gives you a chance to prepare, if that makes sense. Whereas, you know, a policeman knocking on your door saying that your daughter's just been hit by a car and she was killed outright, you know, that goes to straight to stage 2, which is shock. So you're still going to get shock even when you've got pre, because there's still going to be that moment of loss. And then you've got post, the aftermath. Now everyone's going to deal with that differently. I think where the unneedle crafted are going to see a lot of loss, you know, more than what the average human would see in a normal lifetime. Especially with the bibbidi booster, which is I think that could be the one that sort of draws all 3 together. So yeah, I think everyone's going to find that. I think you need to get in touch with your faith. You know, whatever that faith is, you know, whether it's in Jesus, whether it's in God, whether it's in Allah, you know, whether it's just purely in yourself, you need to get in touch with that, because that's going to give you a lot of power to suppress what is the worst kind of emotional pain that anyone can ever experience, in my opinion. You see, I'm not scared of dying. I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm not scared of dying. I'm not. I was, but I'm not. But I am scared of loss. But I think you know, we all are. But I do believe that that this is just an experience. I do think there's more if you've got faith. This is a good one. I hope that covered that. If it didn't, if you're not satisfied with that, Shroom, let me know and I'll go into a bit more detail if I can. It's such a tough one, because it's so intimate and it's so individual to the person that, you know, you're either going to crash and burn from loss, or you're going to let it batter the shit out of you and you're going to grow from it and get stronger. You know, or you could fall in the middle, a little crack in the middle, which is where you become bitter and twisted. So there's only those 3 categories, in my opinion. This is a rechargeable torch. So you've got that, which is very bright, and it is, and then you've got an SOS, and then off. But you've also got this lantern, which is super bright. Now it only lasts for about 2 hours, because I've tested it out, and then you need to put a fresh battery in there. So they're not great. I'm sure there are other I wanted something very small, and that's what God gave me. But yeah, this kind of fitted the bill, and I bought it. But I can charge this off that battery bank. I can charge it off a little hand crank I've got. That'll be another one of my 30. I can charge it off my solar panels. Look at this neat little box. Brilliant. But the lantern, yeah, you're looking at about 2 hours tops. Next one. Ruth Smith mentioned about fishing. Now, this is just so multi-purpose. It's unbelievable. And how I haven't ended up at the end of some of this from my loft is beyond me. And I'm sure that there's a few of you out there that have thought or felt the same, but we're still driving forward, aren't we? Nothing's stopping us. We're just getting stronger and stronger. But this, oh my God, paracord. It's a belt, it's a shoelace, it's something to keep you tie your tarp down, tie your gazebo down. It's a backup dog lead. It's the list is endless and endless, and this is up there with duct tape and sellotape. Do you know what I mean? And you can get some paracord. Bear with me. You want to go out as well? Sorry about this, guys. There's some foxes out there making a bit of a racket. They sound like females having a bit of a spat. You can always tell the females because they kind of irritate the ears a bit. That's all I've got. I know this was a bit of a practice thing, really. I hope that it wasn't what we're on 22 and a half minutes. I'll cover more over the next 2 videos. I hope you found this useful. Much love to all of you. Stay strong. Ciao for now.